You just want it to be true, so you keep resurrecting it as if.
What do I want to be true?
You think that it stands on its own merit, and it doesn't.
What doesn't stand on its own merit? That black women's complaints are baseless.
Yeah, it doesn't stand on your own merits. Like it doesn't. That argument doesn't stand on.
All right, so let me ask Kendra. Kendra, do you believe that black women's complaints in this regard over the past few decades and expressed in various forms, media, etc., are utterly baseless? Do you agree?
Before you
No, it'll be Kendra. You're actually talking to Cerulean.
Before you even get to Kendra, and I'll explain it this way. Like for instance, Valdez brought up a point about you going to the seminar.
Yes.
Saying that that's
one event of many about it.
That's if the women were being honest, right? And you were saying,
right.
Well, they were being straight shooters, right? Well, how many of these places that you have been to, these seminars?
Over the years, quite a few.
Okay, and out of that quite a few, how many women actually stood up in front of there and said that I was a real piece of shit and I fucked up the relationship myself?
None.
Oh, okay. So then
but again, you're
hold on. Let's let Cindy answer and then use Kendra.
Yeah, you're introducing a variable that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that what you're saying has no merit, because I would agree with you. The fact that hang on, the fact that there is no personal accountability is deeply problematic.
So why would you believe anything coming
out
of
your mouth? At the same time, are we to also believe that no black men are problematic?
But I thought in scientific study that if the source or the data is corrupted, or if it's not valid, you got to throw it all out.
Yep, it has to be a pure source.
It has to be checked. So in other words, you can't take.
I mean, does anybody want to conduct a study? I'm all for it.
Have we noticed?
I'm all for conducting a study.
Hold on, Kendra, go ahead.
Okay.
To answer your question, Obsidian, the arguments that have been posed over the last probably 30 or 40 years over media about black men and them not being shit and they don't take care of their kids and they don't do this, and has all been a bunch of bullshit, baby. It's bullshit. And the reason why it's bullshit is because, first of all, we know that things that are promoted in mainstream media against us are bullshit. And then number two, the stats bear out something different than what has been said. Black men usually do take care of their children. They usually want to be family men. They, are employed. Basically, the black men ain't shit argument is a bullshit argument in all of its aspects. Now, that doesn't mean that there are not any black men that fit that mold. It's just that it doesn't apply to the group as collectively as the media would have had us to believe that it applied to them. Now, Cerulean brought up a very good point. If these women are being so honest, then they would at least point the finger back at themselves and take some culpability and saying, you know what, I had a part to play in my relationship not working, or the fact that I'm a single mother 6 times over, that kind of thing. You can't say black men ain't shit and then participate with the ain't shit men several times over. And what I mean by that is that the women who are with these so-called Pookie and Ray Ray, which I hate that term. I hate the educated lame term. I hate all of those terms because they don't mean anything. But for the sake of the discussion, the women who are the 85 octanes in the hood dealing with these guys, she's dealing with that guy because that is the only guy she can deal with. She can't punch above her weight class and find a different guy of a different class. because the guy of a different class doesn't want her. He wants a woman that is a higher class than she is. So she's dealing with the men in her class range that will deal with her. There's a lot of dysfunction there, which we see borne out in the Black community. We're not going to go into the details, but we can see that. Okay. So complaining about who those women choose as mates isn't really a relevant argument, because she's choosing who's in her circle, which everybody is. Everybody's choosing who they can and who they can get. Okay. Whether they punch above their weight class or not, that's who they're getting with.
Or not.
So now,
And Kendra, let me ask you a question. Let me ask Kendra a question. Kendra, in knowing everything you just said being true, and a woman knowing her place in this world, right? From a very young age. I think y'all talked about this on BGS for Women, right?
mm-hmm.
You know what class you can get up to, or what type of man you can get. Then you have another man or a group of men, like Obsidian's group, saying, you should pick me instead of picking those type of men who you want to be with. How do you view those type of men is my question.
Well, first of all, I didn't say that, but
here was your argument. Here was your argument. You said. Hold on, let me finish.
That's a misrepresentation of what I said.
Hold on. He's talking to Kendra.
I'm talking to Kendra. Obsidian said, "What's wrong with throwing salt on another man's game?" Right? That's what he said. He said, "What's wrong with that?" And what I'm saying is, the women don't want you. So why are you listening to complaints from women who don't want you?
So what do you advocate I listen to instead?
My question to Kendra is, if you have a woman who doesn't want a man, who is saying, I have all these things, right? And you're constantly going at this woman saying, you should be in this construct. You should pick me. You should pick me. She doesn't. My question is, how much level of trust do you have for this man who says he wants to listen to your complaints, and instead of being the thing that you want, he's telling you, stop picking the thing you want and settle for me, or pick me.
All right, go ahead, Meech. Jump in.
Oh, so here's the thing that has happened this entire conversation, and Obsidian is a genius with this because he has done this many times before. There's been a lot of digression for this topic. So the reason Obsidian was even brung up is because when BGS mistakenly thought the guy was talking to him, is why you were even in the conversation anyway if you didn't think you were part of the Black community. So here's what I'm going to ask you based on that. If you've already said that you have women or a woman at least, which would mean that no matter how Black women in general, let's say the 85s are behaving, no matter what they're putting out there in the ether, you are still able to get a woman. And if that's the case, or women, and if that's the case, what does it matter what they're saying, and why would you respond to it in the first place if it's not keeping you celibate?
Well, whether I was celibate or not, it still has an impact.
Well, because you said you're not in this for the community. So if it's not affecting you specifically, and you're not in this for the community, then you shouldn't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I am.
It's not keeping you from anything.
All of these. Well, number one, my tax money goes to it. Number two, all kind of social malaise and problems emanate out of it. So I mean, just for those reasons alone, it would. But let me drive to another point.
Hold on. Number one, they didn't goddamn create the social malaise. Okay, they didn't create.
I didn't say that they did.
In other words, they don't even contribute to it. Okay, they're victims.
Hold on a
second. Like everybody,
you're telling me,
just like Black men are.
You're telling me,
yes.
You're telling me that out of wedlock births do not contribute in a big way to the problems we have in Black America.
No.
So wait a minute. What about
Hold a second. Iceland.
That cuts against every bit of social research. And Charles Faulkner, the police officer, he can tell you that.
Bullshit. Because Iceland has a 66 out of wedlock birth rate. Low
Iceland
crime.
has a population of what now?
Iceland has a population of 1 million people.
Right.
Sweden has an out of wedlock birth rate of 6.
And Sweden has a population of how many people?
About 6 million people.
Okay.
In other words, no, it doesn't.
No, yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
no, it doesn't.
Yes,
It
it does.
doesn't fit the
Yes, it does.
it doesn't fit the paradigm.
Yes,
It
it does.
doesn't fit the paradigm
Yes,
of what we
it
are.
does.
No, it
Yes,
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
yes,
No,
it
it
does.
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yes,
No,
it
it
does.
doesn't. No, it
Yes,
doesn't.
it
Anger
does.
man, Anger man. I think this
You know
goes
what?
back to your point that when Anger man was talking about an understanding, I don't think there's a lack of understanding. I think there's a lack of acceptance.
Yes.
You
Lack of
refusing.
acceptance
You're
for what?
refusing.
Right.
No. You are refusing to accept it. Meaning you've been putting red pills in your mouth, but you ain't been swallowing them. You got them walling around in your mouth, and you're like, oh, I know what this tastes like.
What
Oh,
am
I
I
know the
refusing to
structure.
accept here?
You're refusing to accept the nature of women. That's
Right.
what you're refusing to
Exactly.
accept. You're
All right.
refusing
Well,
to
so what is
accept.
that nature?
Hey,
What
BGS.
is this nature you're talking about?
Let me.
Go
The
ahead.
fact that
It's
you
out
have
there. Let me. I
asked.
want to say this real fast.
I'm talking
Now,
about. Is
you
it
know,
Michael?
BGS,
Yeah.
What is this
I'm
nature I'm
talking to you,
refusing to
Cerulean.
accept?
Hold on, City. Hold on.
I'm talking to you, Cerulean. I want you. I mean, not Cerulean, but Obsidian. I want you to hear this. When Angry Man makes videos, you notice that he's talking. He may be discussing black women, but he's talking to black men. You, Obsidian, are talking to black women. Now, why I say that is because black women in general, and any woman in general, in my opinion, behaves like a child. Right? Not all of them, but for the most part, they do. What I mean is they're going to get away with whatever they can get away with. They don't know what they want, and it's always going to be your fault, which means men have to get it together. Now, the reason I pointed out Angry Man is because Angry Man is talking to dudes. He's informing guys so that this is red pill information, can get their shit together because women don't have any choice but to follow in the big scheme of things. You, and this is the way you come off, is that you're talking to black women, which isn't going to solve anything. In general, it's not going to solve anything, right? And that's the issue here is that it seems as though you're trying to convince black women instead of trying to inform men of women, which is what BGS does, which is what Angry Man does, which is what Minister Jap does, right? So when we ask what exactly it is you're trying to accomplish, you come off very confusing.
No,
We don't
because
know
it
what
made
we don't know
And
what your
you
purpose
know,
is.
Meech,
just to sort of reiterate that, I'm sorry.
Well, I can give you a very clear answer.
hold on a second, Meech. Because to me, it looks to what to expound on what Meech is saying. It sounds like you're doing what pro-black dudes are doing, and it sounds like you are hoe tipping off the subject.
What
Oh,
do you
hold on,
mean?
meaning you're going like this. I'm bringing up black issues. I'm talking about black issues, but it's just for you to bend them over your couch. It's not to fix an issue. It's almost like you're cherry picking those things that you can, and then you'll pass them along to other dudes to do the work with them. That's what it.
I don't
That's
know
the
what you mean. I've never asked anybody to do anything for me. I've worked for myself all my life.
if you're asking the black community to come
And as
together
far as
and that
women
and
are concerned, I don't need, dashikis to get black women to do anything.
Hey, do you suppose to
but you
change black women through black men or through black women? How do you
I,
suppose to change that?
I'm not looking to change anyone
Well, why are you
it's
discussing it then?
because you're
because I
eating
can't.
off.
Because it's entertainment for him. He said
There
that
you
Exactly.
go.
many times.
And it's a
There you
check.
go.
He has said
Okay.
that already.
Er,
Okay.
Ergo,
Yep.
meaning you're
Obsidian
just
does
eating
not
off the
want
plate.
But
solutions.
since you bring up the point, I will say this. I will say this. What I ask black women to do is just be adults.
And that's asking, and
No,
that's
what
like
you're
asking.
Well,
asking, no, you're not asking black women to be adults, which there's nothing wrong with that if you were. What you're really asking black women to do is something that women cannot do, which is oppose an environment and then change.
Exactly.
Women nest in environments, men oppose it.
I don't
A
understand
woman
what you mean.
she will not, and in truth, she cannot oppose any environment she is in.
I have no idea what you mean.
She will acquiesce to an environment regardless if it becomes destructive or not.
I have no idea what you mean.
that's
And
true.
let me ask you. Let me
Like,
bring
that
it to you.
sounds it's a
Let me
personal
bring it to
thing.
you. Let me bring
I
it to you
agree.
this way. Let me bring it to you this way. You always propose cuts will actually start making black women come back and horse trade with their men, right?
Theoretically.
Theoretically, right?
My main concern with regard to cuts is very simple. Why should public funding go to deal and underwrite private decisions?
Really? You want to know why? Because the United States of America wants babies no matter what, and they fund it. It has nothing to do with you.
And what document did you get this from?
Hmm?
What document did you get this from?
It's called logic.